Hello there, everyone, and welcome to This Is What Happens When You Have a Technical Difficulty. Now, I know this isn't one of my normal videos. This wasn't going to be my video this week. Before I go on, though, if you don't want to hear me talk about my little disclaimer and why I'm making this video and so on and so forth, I will put a timestamp in the description to skip right to the review. So you can go ahead and click on that if you don't want to hear me talk a little bit not about the game's stuff. All right. Hello, everyone else. So, this game that I'm reviewing, I played all of it and all of the endings, and I filmed myself doing so. And it was a lot of time. It was 4.5 to 5 hours of footage. It was a crazy amount. And I put it into my editing software. I edited the intro. And from then on, nothing on the screen changed. It's just not the same if I don't have my genuine reactions. And because I played every ending, so there's no surprises, no nothing I could have gotten to really make it a fresh new experience. And I feel like that's the best way to go into playthroughs is it's fresh and new, or you don't remember anything and it's been years. So I said, you know what? I am not going to let my 5 hours of gameplay go to waste, and I am going to review the game instead. I hope you guys don't mind, and if you're new here, I do plan on doing more game reviews in the future for games that I just am not planning on doing on my channel as a full playthrough. So if you're interested in that, please go ahead and subscribe, like the video if you like it, if you watch it, and I'll go through everything else at the end. All of what happened aside, I am going to go through the 6 criteria I'm going to be using to review the game, and then during my review, I will have gameplay in there so you won't have to look at my face the whole time. So if you're not into that, don't worry, I'm leaving soon. The 6 criteria I'm going to rate on scales of 1 to 10 are as follows. Number 1, replayability. That is something that I really love in a game. I don't know if anyone else is like me, but if I can replay a game more than a few times and I still get an enriching experience out of it, then that is a win in my book because I love replaying games that I like. Number 2 is the writing. This game is a visual novel. So, disclaimer, if you are not a fan of visual novels, you are not going to be a fan of this game. Get that out of the way first. But if you are a fan of visual novels or you just want to try one out, I will be going through the writing and rating that as well. Number 3, the gameplay. I'm going to be talking about mostly the ease of the gameplay, the controls, my opinions on it, things like that. Pretty self-explanatory. Number 4, I'm going to be going through the value and or the value of the content. Is it worth the price that it has? Is it worth playing? Is the content really any good? Number 5, I'm going to be going through visuals. In a visual novel, it's not necessarily the most important thing to me, at least, but I'm still going to be going through it. And the last criteria, number 6, would I recommend it? You'll find out at near the end of this video. I will be going through what it's about, some of the gameplay, and I'm going to do it spoiler free as well. Nothing I'm going to say is going to be, shocking, telling you about any twists, turns, anything like that. So if you want to hear my review, let's get right into it. One thing I will mention before we get started on the official review is that there is an accessibility feature in this game that I've never really seen before. So I wanted to mention it. There is an option to go into the settings and set it to have the font changed a little bit so it's easier to read if you have dyslexia or really just any issues in general reading the font that's on there. It's not going to be on screen because I didn't need it to be like that, but just a heads up, if you are dyslexic or you have some issues with the font, that is something that you can change in the game, and I think that is really, really cool of them to do. Now let's talk about Ballads at Midnight. Ballads at Midnight is a visual novel about a bard and a vampire. The synopsis on the Steam page is as follows. When a sarcastic bard is arrested and exiled to an abandoned castle, she expected to be at the mercy of a hungry, bloodthirsty vampire She soon discovers that the vampire, Lucius, is not starving. He is gravely bored. She may just survive on borrowed time, one ballad each midnight. Now I'm gonna start off with the first criteria, replayability. I would rate the replayability at an 8 out of 10. I'm not super picky when it comes to replayability. If there's even one little change that I'm able to see, I'm probably gonna be happy about it. And this game had plenty of things. It's very easy to get all of the achievements, which I like because it's attainable, and there are multiple different endings. I will say later on that there are not a ton of choices to make, but the choices that you do make really, really impact the ending that you have, and all of the endings are nice and neat and tied up and final, so you're not left hanging, you're not left wondering. Things are just nicely wrapped in a little bow, and I love that no matter what you pick, you get a unique ending, and it's very, very easy to go back and be able to see the endings that you didn't get. There is a feature in the game where you can skip, and you can set it to skip only dialogue that you have already read, so you don't miss anything that you might not have seen yet, which I think is a fantastic feature, and I wish a lot of other visual novels had that. Now let's talk a little bit about the writing in the game. Now I'm gonna rate the writing a solid 7 out of 10. I have definitely played other visual novels that had just about the cringiest writing that you could ever have, or even just other games in general that are not visual novels, where the dialogue and just the content in it just is a little painful to go through. This one, I didn't really have a lot of painful moments. I will say this might just be a personal pet peeve. I don't know if anyone else is like this, but there are a few words that the author really likes using, and I noticed them many, many times. And again, that doesn't necessarily take down the quality of the game, but I noticed it. It's enough for me to notice, and enough for me to say, you know, you could have used a synonym there. I really wish the author trusted you to read between the lines on your own a little bit more. Some things seemed a little bit drawn out in that regard, but it wasn't enough to turn me off of the game at all, and overall, I think this is one of the better written visual novels I've seen that is not super popular. That's definitely on the indie side. Let's go through the gameplay a little bit. I'm going to give the gameplay a 6 out of 10. Again, this is a visual novel, so it's not like the controls are overly difficult, that things are really, hard to get through. It's not necessarily anything like that. However, I will say that sometimes the controls are a little bit inconsistent. Every time I tried to go through options, I was very used to using the wheel on my mouse to scroll, but using that actually goes back in the dialogue. It's like clicking the back button that you see at the bottom of the screen when you're playing. So that was a little annoying. I was just trying to choose one of the options of dialogue, and it just went back, and I had to click through it and get back to the dialogue. So just a heads up there, don't use the mouse wheel, it will take you back. Another thing I will say is, at least while I was filming it on my actual playthrough, the mouse wouldn't show up. I had to select things using my arrow keys, and it is a little bit difficult to see what you're selecting if you do it that way. When I was filming it on the other platform I used, I didn't have that issue. The mouse would come up, I could click on anything I wanted. So I don't know, seems a little strange that the controls just kind of changed depending on how I was filming it. I've never experienced that in another game. Now, this is one of the things I am rating on a 10 out of 10, which is the value of the content you're getting. Why? Because this game is free. There are so many other visual novels out there that cost you $10, $15, $20, even $2, whatever price it is, that's more than free, and it doesn't have nearly this amount of work put into it. And I really, really respect the makers of this game for putting this out for free and putting in this much work. This game not only has honestly very well written dialogue, this game also has some lines of voice acting in it, which you don't get in a lot of visual novels, especially free ones. there's voice acting, there's original little bard songs. The art is really, really nice. I think the art is very clean. It's pleasing to look at. I think for a free game, this really does knock it out of the park. If you're looking for something to occupy you for many hours, I mean, to get all of the different endings, every single one, I could play for probably 6 or more hours, and a free game with that much content like this, I think is just really, really cool. And I really, really respect the makers of this game. So again, 10 out of 10 on the value for this and the content of it. I think that's just really, really amazing. Now, in the regard of the content in it, I'm gonna mention something, and I just want to give a disclaimer. I don't mean this in a mean way, but the songs that are in it are a tad questionable. Lyrics-wise, that's not the issue. The writing of it is very bard song, and that's what it is. And I'm also not here to shit on the singer. I am here, though, to say that the songs definitely didn't fit the music that was playing. It was a little jarring to go into this song and listen to it and have the music not time with the lyrics, not fit the notes that she was singing. It just didn't sound very good because it didn't match. So if I had any piece of advice or something to go back and kind of fine tune a little bit, would be just to go through the music a little bit more. There are 2 songs in it, one at the credits and one sort of in the middle of the game. Again, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but it is something that threw me off a little bit that I think could be improved on. Lastly, and really most importantly, would I recommend this game? Absolutely, I would. I would like to say that this is sort of just medieval Twilight in a sense. There are a lot of really fun references. There is a Twilight reference, so in case you would like to know that and you are a Twilight fan, there is a reference. But at the end of the day, this game is free. It costs you nothing, and it's many hours of content. It's well written. The art style is pretty. It's very easy on the eyes. The spiciness in it, I would rate at like a 2 out of 10. So just so you know, there's nothing graphic, but there is a little bit of spice in there. Again, this game is free. Why not play it? It's an indie game, and it's remarkably well made for what it is. So if you're looking for something to play that costs you nothing, that's going to keep you entertained for hours, that doesn't take too much effort and too much brain power, the little twists are awesome, and I think that even the few choices that you do make are really cool, and they give you all sorts of different endings, and you can go back again and again until you get all of them. That's all I have for you guys. Thank you so much if you watched this. Let me know if you have played this or are playing this or are going to play this. Please let me know what you think of this game, and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already. I would really appreciate that, especially if you went through this review. Go ahead and like the video if you liked it. Let me know in the comments if there are any games you would like me to play on my channel, or if you would like me to play and review. I'm totally down to do that as well. Go ahead and share this video with anybody and everybody if you so choose. Thank you, thank you, thank you again. All of my socials will be in the description. I also go live on Twitch once a week. Usually it's Monday nights, sometimes it's not. So keep an eye out if you want to see me play other games on my Twitch channel. And otherwise, thank you again, and I hope you all have a good one.